Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the walk. Today is Monday, October 24th, and today we are moving into that next piece of armor, which is the breastplate of righteousness. Now, it was very clear to me that we need to be keeping that vision that I had on Sunday in mind and use that to direct the direction we're going in. Now, interestingly enough, there are two different types of breastplates in the Bible. You've got the breastplate, which is in the armor of God, and that would have been more like your traditional armor. It was made all out of metal, and it was meant to keep all those vital organs safe. But then you've also got a breastplate in the Old Testament that the priests wore, and that breastplate had stones that represented the different Jewish tribes, Israelite tribes, within that breastplate. And that's what I saw in the vision. I saw that Old Testament breastplate. So we're going to be talking a little bit about both. I have a lot of information here. I don't know that I'm going to get through it all in one day, but we'll see how far we get. So my first reference that I got really shocked me. It was Grand Canyon University, and it was talking about the armor that a Roman soldier would wear. It was protection of the most important part of the body. It was underneath the breastplate and protected by the breastplate. You had your heart, you had your lungs, you have many other organs. If a soldier did not have that breastplate, he was very vulnerable to serious injuries. Now, Paul calls it the breastplate of righteousness. So what does that righteousness means? Well, we talked about this so much last week when we looked at Galatians 3. There's two ways to have righteousness. Either you follow every single letter of that law from birth, which none of us are capable of doing, so that option is gone, or you put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ and you accept that free gift. Now, as I'm thinking about that, you want to think about, where would that armor come from? It doesn't come from something that we do. That armor is provided to us as part of God's grace. We have that spiritual armor because he provided it to us. Now, in Chabad.org, it talked about the breastplate. It was the most conspicuous of the priestly garments. So now we're talking about that breastplate that had the different stones that represented the tribes of Israel. It was a rectangular piece of fabric, and it was a square, and it had 12 different pieces of stones. It had 12 precious stones, and they were set into gold casting and were embedded onto the breastplate. Now, if you remember from my vision that I had on Sunday, those stones were created straight out of Jesus's hands. I could see the hole in his hand, and they were polished with his blood. It's basically representing that, my people, it was like God was saying, my people have been redeemed and their price has been paid for with Jesus's blood. Jesus has provided the thing that makes you pure and beautiful and shine through his light. Now, going back to the breastplate of righteousness in Ephesians 6, it wouldn't at all surprise people to see soldiers wearing a breastplate. In fact, they would probably be more surprised to not see the breastplate. A soldier wasn't suited up, wasn't ready for the battle without that breastplate, because once again, it covered all those pieces of all those organs. The righteousness, God's holiness and perfection comes to us because of Jesus's death on the cross. And I think that's why in that vision, I didn't see an armor piece of breastplate. I saw the priestly breastplate, because all of that is coming from God's holiness, from his protection. He is there to provide that protection for us. This breastplate focuses on sanctification. That process of sanctification is where we are made holy because of our faith in Jesus Christ. That's what gives you the equipping to engage in this battle. You know that the enemy's darts cannot penetrate those vital organs because you have that breastplate in place. And it was created by Jesus's hand and paid for through his blood. So how do we use this? We turn away from temptation. We guard our hearts from the devil's schemes. We avoid anything that may trap us and get us into that rut of sin. And we keep our eyes focused on Jesus. We keep our eyes focused on glorifying him. Surprisingly enough, I did make it through all of our notes. Tomorrow we will look at the next piece of armor. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.